What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. What you guys are looking at is the first place deck list from Ryan Yu, our newest 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Champion of Dragon Duels. This is pretty fucking amazing. For anybody who watched Worlds over the weekend, you know that this was pretty much the most shocking thing to come out of the event. Not only that somebody selected to play Chainburn, but the kid actually ended up winning the whole damn thing with it. I mean, can you imagine that? Just think about that in your head. One of our world champions plays Chainburn, or at least he decided to play Chainburn at the event. Now, I don't care who you are. That's not something that you just say, I'm going to just do this out on a limb. Usually, Chainburn is one of those decks that you're very comfortable with. You know it inside and out. When you were watching him play, the kid looked really good, and his deck obviously was catered to his style. The fact that he ran Dice Jar in the main deck was insane, obviously, because this card can kill you, or it can obviously do a bunch of damage to your opponent. I consider Dice Jar to be an incredibly risky card for both players, and I haven't actually seen this card played in a very, very long time. You have to go back eras to like GX and stuff like that. His build was incredibly unique, and when you think about Chainburn, it actually was a very good pick, because what did Chainburn really lose at this event with the world's ban list? Like, the only thing that I can see that he wasn't able to play at pretty much max that he probably would have wanted to is maybe something like Card of Demise. That's pretty much it. Obviously, you're only allowed 2 copies because of the OCG, but everything else in the deck, he still had a good amount of draw power. You also notice he did not run any copies of Accumulated Fortune. I think that maybe it was just too reliant, or Accumulated Fortune can be a really good card giving you that draw too, but sometimes it isn't consistent. Instead, he went with Balance of Judgment, which a lot of times if you combo this with Ojometria, or your opponent just doesn't know how to play against Chainburn, they put a bunch of resources on the field, you hit them with something like Wabaku or Threatening Roar, you make sure that they basically cannot they can't attack you, and then something like Balance of Judgment can just rack up cards and cards and cards. I believe that he resolved this twice in a match, and each time he was drawing like 5 to 6 cards. So this can be a complete blowout. And once you give Chainburn that many cards, it's pretty much just going to be GG. Another thing that I found really interesting is he was running some really old school burn cards. You notice that he's running Ring of Destruction. You don't see Ring of Destruction played that much, but especially in the early game, Ring of Destruction can be a powerhouse. If your opponent throws maybe like a Masterpiece or a Dynamite on the board, that's a 2500 up or 2500 plus attacker on the board, you're perfectly fine if you're playing burn taking 2500. I mean, you knew that he wasn't scared of burning himself with his own cards. That's why he ran 2 copies of Blazing Mirror Force. It's just a really interesting take on Chainburn. The fact that he was running flip effects. I mean, when is the last time you guys saw Magician of Faith? Now, I'm thinking because he did have a bunch of draw cards, and the fact that if you were watching the matches, some of his draw cards tended to get hit with Ash Blossom. Maybe that's why he ran Magician of Faith, because I can imagine getting back a copy of Card of Demise after it's just been hit with like an Ash Blossom. I mean, that's pretty damn big. So this is something really incredible, guys. I didn't think anybody would even play Chainburn, because when you think of the younger players, when you think of Dragon Duels, you don't really associate Burn with those players. You either associate them playing the same type of meta decks that we do, or maybe some of the meta decks that are like tier 2, ABC, Teller Knights, and stuff like that. In fact, I believe that ABC ended up making it into top 8. So, you know, you wouldn't associate like Chainburn with younger players, but it ended up getting the job done. If you look at his side deck, it's actually crazy, because part of it is kind of locked down, like going second. I want some ways to answer established fields. That's why you have Dark Holes and maybe Fossil Dynas that you can set. But then it's kind of crazy. It almost looks troll, because he's siding a bunch of anti-burn cards. This is straight savage, right? He's side deck Genzo. How do you summon this thing in this deck? I mean, I guess maybe you can have like a Batjack or a Magician of Faith live, but he's actually siding for the mirror match. So maybe he was thinking, hey, I am the master of Chainburn, and I'll be damned come hell or high water if I actually lose a mirror match. He sided in Genzo, he sided in Ages of Gaia, and just a whole bunch of other cards, Leonidas, so that he would not actually lose a mirror match, which is crazy, because I don't think anybody there was just expecting Chainburn to even see the light of play. So if you guys end up running into Chainburn over the next couple of weeks and it sees a bunch of increased play, it will be because because one of our world champions actually ran the deck at Worlds, and he was basically tearing things up. Nobody had an answer to him. So you guys let me know what you thought in the comment section below. This has actually changed my opinion on what deck maybe I should run moving forward, man. Chain Burn is still pretty damn cheap outside of Card of Demise, like the only expensive card in the main deck, and you really don't need an extra deck. If you're wondering where the 15th card is, he ran Decode Talker. I guess it's just like a troll. It's not like he was ever going to actually summon Decode Talker, to be honest. But yeah, just a very interesting take. And again, I think that this will maybe reflect on the meta. Maybe some people will start looking at this, especially when we get our new ban list and nobody really knows what to run. Like, expect a lot of people to be like, didn't Chain Burn win Worlds? And then we have a whole bunch of like Chain Burn players running around. We'll have to stack up on those Denkos. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Congratulations to Ryan Yu, and subscribe if you have not already.